Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Tuesday, November 26th. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Now let's get into it. First, come join us on LionStar. We do have a 7-day free trial if you've never tried us before. Just go through the app stores, Android or iOS, LionStar app, download it, use us. If you've never tried us before, 70 days free trial. If not, $39.99 per month and gets you access to everything, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price. Now, let's get into it. All right. Highest owned. So it's 5-game slate on both sites. With it being 5, Draftkings kept the late game on for once, and so we got 5ers. All right. Highest owned point guard, Malcolm Brogdon, 5.3K, 44% owned. Look, he is a steal for the price, but he is only playing 25 minutes a game. He got to 26 versus Boston, 25 last game. Most likely he's playing 25, 26 minutes, something like that. Will be very hard for him to hit 40 playing this, but high 20s, low 30s is absolutely possible. And I don't love the fact that everybody's going there, but I don't mind it. I'm going to have some Brogdon for sure. Next, Colin Sexton, 5.9K, 30% owned. I would rather Sexton than Brogdon. There's just more ceiling in this spot for him. He's going to play 32, maybe more minutes. He played 38 last game, and it's just something we usually don't see from the Jazz. But without Jordan Clarkson, he's going to play a little bit more. Very interested in some Sexton. And then pivot-wise, Chris Paul, 6.5K. I'm going to have some of him, but 5.4, Stefan Castle, I think I am interested in. He's going to play these solid minutes, played 33 and 34 the last 2 games. So, that's 8 more minutes than Brogdon. He's less owned, very similar price. Now, he's not as good from a fantasy per minute standpoint, but could he play 1 fantasy per minute today when his normal is 0.86? Absolutely. And if he's doing that, his ceiling is much higher than Brogdon. So definitely interested in some Castle. Next, we got Keaton George, 5.8K. He's your obvious pivot off Sexton. You can play both if you want together, but we do have a solid ceiling from him. We see him generally playing more minutes than Sexton, so I think the chance for 34 minutes is probably a little bit higher. And it's an okay spot here versus the Spurs. So I don't mind going to some George with the 227 total. It is a nice spot. It's right now it's going to be pretty hard to get off too much of the chalk. On DraftKings, point guard, Sexton, Jordan Poole, Keaton George. Jordan Poole is questionable. He's 6.7K. If he plays, he's in a decent spot. His prices came down, and now that he has Brogdon there with him, it should continue to keep going down, as I just think his floor is way lower now just because all the usage isn't going to go through him as the guard spot. I don't mind some Jordan Poole, but I do think he's probably going a little over-owned here. George, Sexton, I like. Kobe White, fine. Giddey is fine. I probably would get to a little more Giddey than I would White at these prices. On to shooting guard, Brogdon, Zach LaVine, and Colin Sexton. Getting into Zach LaVine, he's probably going to play the power forward spot once again. And in this role, he's been flirting with 40 nonstop. He's been scoring the ball well, not really getting any more rebounds than he normally would, which is interesting. But all in all, I'm fine with some Sexton in a pace-up spot, for some LaVine in a pace-up spot with a 240 total for a guy that can score the ball. He's going to need to go for 30 plus to really be optimal, but he absolutely can do it in this spot. versus the 30th ranked defense in the league. Castle, George. Next, we got 3 more pivots to talk about here. Julian Champagne. Look, he is playing 34 and 32 minutes the last 2 games. If he gets that type of minutes, I'm interested. 0.85 fantasy per minute over the last 5, 0.77 over the last 20, and then you add in that he's in a good spot. At 5.3K, I'm interested, especially with the steals and blocks he can put together. If he puts together some, there is that 40 plus point possibility, which it will be very hard to get Brogdon there at the same price. So don't mind some Champagne. Obviously, Brogdon's the better player, but he's just not going to get the minutes. That's why I keep bringing up Brogdon. 8.9K, Devin Booker, 4.3K. His price is a little elevated because he just had that run without Durant and Beal. Those guys are back, but that doesn't stop his ceiling from still being his ceiling. He can still hit 60 with all those guys being out. And versus the Lakers, I don't mind going there. 234.5 total. It is an NBA Cup game. Suns need to win, and he's, hit 50 or so against the Lakers before, so why not give him the chance here when he's going super low owned. It is probably a pay up to get different type day right now. There's not a ton of news, and a lot of the stuff we already kind of know as far as what's going to happen. So it might be a day where you just get off the chalky pay up options and go to different pay up options. And Booker is one of those. Austin Reeves, 6.6K. He's running the point, playing a lot of minutes. He's in a fine spot. Guards versus Suns is a thing that makes a lot of sense these days. So let's roll with it. Shooting guard on DraftKings, Levine, Sexton, Poole, Amen Thompson, 5K. We know he has the ceiling, and he has, spurts of getting extra minutes. If this is a spot that he gets extra minutes, you got to like it a lot. He's just, kind of a roll of the dice. Does he give you 40 or does he give you mid-20s? Now, because of that ceiling's there, I'm interested. I don't love that he's high-owned. If he's high-owned, I'd rather go to Eason if Eason's lower-owned, but both of them, pack a mighty punch off the bench and are in consideration. Small forward on FanDuel, we got Zach LaVine, Kyle Kuzma, and LeBron James. Kyle Kuzma, 6.8K. He has done nothing since coming back, and his minutes have been down. However, at least he played 30 and 35 of the last game. If you want to give him 35 minutes, he looks interesting. If you think he's going to come back down to 29-ish, get me off of him. His first game of the season was 28 and then 24. So it's really hard to guess what his minutes are. If everybody's loving Kuzma and he's going to go high owned, I might roll back those minutes a little bit and just try not to get as many of them, as much of him, because, there is that possibility. He's just not on the field, on the court, and 7.6K is a lot to pay for, 6.8K is a lot to pay for a guy that is only going to be on the court 28 minutes or so. LeBron, 9,700. Lakers in a pivotal matchup for the NBA Cup. We know LeBron likes stats. We know he liked this in-season tournament last year. I think he's going to play a lot of minutes. There's a chance that he gets up to that 37, 38 minutes, and if he does, he could definitely give you a solid score at 9,700, so a little interested there. Now some pivots. 8,200 Jimmy Butler. Only a 223 total here, but the thing is that Jimmy B came back and played 34 minutes and 38 minutes and really went for it. He was aggressive on offense and also came out with a statement a couple days ago that he needs to be more aggressive for this team to be successful. And when he's aggressive, dude can score fantasy points in bunches and has that 60-point ceiling at 8.2K. I think he is extremely interesting today. If we get that aggressive playoff type Jimmy, you could absolutely get a ceiling game in this spot. And then we've talked about everybody else already, so we will move it on over to small forward. Levine, Thompson, Bryce Sensabaugh, 3K. Jazz have been playing their starters big minutes actually. So Sensabaugh probably does not get many minutes. He is only 3K, and it's a slate void of value right now. So if value doesn't open up, people are probably going to go to plays like this, but I just see there's no ceiling whatsoever in it. And so I can't do it. I'm not going to play a guy at 3K getting 19 minutes when he most likely outcome is 15 points, something like that, 12 points. And I mean, I just can't do that. There's no point. If there's a path to more minutes, something opens up because somebody's out, then maybe. But as it currently stands, no. Bilal Coulibaly, if you want to go there, that's fine. It's definitely not one of my main spots, but it is a fine matchup versus the Bulls. Up-tempo, 245 total. Those up-tempo spots is what you really want for him. Power forward on FanDuel. We got Kuzma, we got Wemby, and we got LeBron. Look, Wemby is in a good spot. He played 34 minutes last game in a spot they said they were going to watch his minutes. A little interested here for the Spurs. The ceiling's obviously huge. It's just really hard to know what they're going to do minute-wise with Wemby. I'm fine having a little bit. Probably not going to go overboard with him, especially on a slate that the value is kind of lacking right now. Some pivots. Alex Sarr, 5,800. We've seen 2 ceiling games out of him, the 50 burger and a 45 burger. He's got 28 and 31 minutes the last 2 games. Maybe those minutes are coming up a little bit, but he still suffers with foul trouble. He can definitely get the steals and blocks, and that's what needs to happen for him to really, become optimal. It's just, does he get those this game or not? I'm fine with a little bit, not going super hard. Pivot-wise, Naz Reid, 5,200. We know, those mid-30, mid-40-point games are there occasionally versus a Rockets team that after Sengun, they really don't have too much big men-wise. Naz Reid's at least interesting, and he's done well versus them. Last year, he had a 30, a 28, and a 41 versus them, but the 41 was starting and playing 34 minutes. The other ones was more of his reserve role, which he'll be in today. But, hey, I'll take 30 on this slate from 5,200 low-owned guy and kind of move on. And that's why Brogdon is so expensive, so high owned, is you're expecting that 28 or 30 and then just moving it on up. So Naz Reid's really not much of a different play, just going way, way less owned. Power forward on DraftKings. Kuzma, Sarr, Sensabaugh. We've covered them all, so we may as well just move it on over to center on FanDuel. Walker Kessler, 6K. He is back in the lineup and played 35 minutes last game. I got to like him in this spot. The guy can get those blocks and has a solid ceiling when he does. Only issue here is he hasn't really done much versus the Spurs, but he also hasn't been playing minutes. I mean, 18, 19, 22, 28, 19. So if you give him 34, 33, 32, he can absolutely get there. We've seen 50-point ceiling out of him this year. I'm going to have a decent amount of Walker for sure. Wemby, Sarr, we talked about. Vooch, he is probably going to be my highest owned Bulls player. I don't really respect that Washington interior. They give it up a lot. They're 26 versus the center. Vooch is a solid offensive center and could really attack this team down low. So definitely a bit interested in some Vooch. Naz Reid we covered, and we will move it on over to center on DK. Sarr, Wemby, Vooch, Kessler, Giannis. Giannis is kind of a pivot off Wemby, but you're still paying up a lot for it. And one of the things I've talked about. He's like a 1.65 guy with Lillard, not your 1.7 guy without. And that's the big thing to me, is just the difference there. So probably not getting too much Giannis today. So that'll do it for us today, guys. A quick one, quick 5-game slate. And we will be back with more tomorrow for NBA, and then also pay attention because we got a lot of NFL content dropping later today. I'm going to try and go over the Thursday Thanksgiving NFL slate. So that should be out tonight, and we can start digging into all that. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Peace.